Good afternoon. Welcome to Gizmo Garden. I want to thank everybody for coming out today to support science and technology education in the Mid-Coast. My name is Judy Silver. I'm the program director of Gizmo Garden, and we're going to have a great afternoon this afternoon. Rather than me give you an elaborate and long welcome, I'm going to turn the floor over for a welcome from our United States Senators.
What a pleasure it is to welcome you to this Gizmo Garden celebration. I thank the Skidompha Library, community supporters, program leader Bill Silver, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology for bringing this exciting program to your community. Most of all, I commend the students for devoting their precious vacation time to advancing their knowledge of electronics technology. As their beeping, flashing, and spinning gizmos demonstrate, learning can be loads of fun. We are living in the electronics age, a time of rapid change never before seen in human history. It is simply amazing to me that the smartphone I carry in my pocket has vastly more computing power than did the spacecraft that put Americans on the moon when I was about the age of today's Gizmo Gardeners. Our state has a long and fascinating history of invention. From steel plows to threshing machines, early Maine inventors of the agricultural age created the gizmos that helped to make our nation the breadbasket of the world. In the industrial age, Chester Greenwood of Farmington is best known for inventing earmuffs, but he also led the way in developing the shock absorbers, spark plugs, and wheel bearings that make modern transportation possible. At about the same time, Helen Blanchard of Portland patented the first of many sewing machines advancements that established Maine as the center of the textile industry. Moving into the electronics age, a young engineer from Howland named Percy Spencer invented the microwave oven while working on radar projects during World War II. Today, while the smartphones, tablets, and laptops that keep us connected, informed, and entertained get most of the attention, electronics improve our lives in so many ways. It is because of electronic technologies that our air and water are cleaner. Our cars are safer and more efficient. When we get sick, we are diagnosed more quickly so that the healing can begin. The great improvements to come in energy, the environment, transportation, healthcare, and many other fields may well grow from this Gizmo Garden. I congratulate you for your interest in electronics technology and wish each of you great success.
Hey, Gizmo Garden, what a great idea. STEM, innovation, creativity, technology, all rolled into one, and to have some fun at the same time. I just want to congratulate Pam at the library and all my friends in Damariscotta for this terrific program. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I know the students are going to get a lot out of it. We've got, let's see, Finn, Aiden, Nolan, Brooke, Abigail, Rachel, Heaven, Jack. We got 2 Quinns, and then, of course, Judy and Bill Silver, who put a lot of work into this, Mark Ferraro, Pam Gormley, I mentioned, and Lori. Thanks a lot for putting this together. It really is a terrific project, but I just have one simple request. Can you figure out a gizmo that's going to take the snow off of my porch roof? That's the biggest problem we've got right now, is maybe we're going to have a little warm weather and some of this stuff is going to go away. But this is really a great project, and I think it's going to be fun And my congratulations to the students, to the people that put it together. And I always think of the Skidompha Library and MIT in the same breath. I mean, intellectual knowledge organizations in their communities, and it's great to see that collaboration going strong in the Mid-Coast. So, congratulations, have a great time, and thanks for what you're doing for the Mid-Coast and for Maine.
To record that for us. Now I'm going to introduce the technical director of Gizmo Garden, my husband, Bill Silver. Bill has a master's degree from MIT, and he never got his PhD because it's the typical all-American story. He left school to start a business. So he was involved in a startup that now employs over 1,000 people, and it's down in Massachusetts, and he would love to talk to you about it. But he also loves to teach. He teaches down at Bowdoin, computer science, and he has had a ball working with the children this week. So, Bill?
Thanks, Judy. I'm going to introduce the Gizmo Gardeners and explain a little bit about what the Gizmos are all about. And then we're going to get to meet each student and their Gizmo. The program that we created was started with a program developed by the Edgerton Center at MIT, which does K-12 outreach, and we adapted that program for our own use. We took what they provided and we said, how can we make this work in our community, the amount of time we have with the students that we have. And we created these Gizmos. The Gizmos play a game of catch and throw with light beams. And the game has two rules. When you catch a light beam, when the Gizmo catches a light beam, it has to count to 10 electronically and then throw the light beam to another Gizmo. And then the second rule is, while it's counting to 10, the Gizmo can show off how excited it is by flashing lights, blasting sound, blowing streamers, waving things back and forth. And that's where the individual creativity of each of these amazing kids comes in. And so you're going to see 10 extremely individual, creative Gizmos, but they all work together as a team. Because engineering is a team sport, and that's really what we were trying to do with Gizmo Garden. Allow each student's individual creativity to shine through, and then do something in common so that we could be an engineering team. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the students to gather behind your particular Gizmo. These are held together with Scotch tape, so I'm going to ask everyone not to bang into them, but just gather behind your Gizmo. And I'm going to go one at a time. And let's see about this. I'm going to use a microphone here so that everyone can hear.
Yeah, don't worry about touching your Gizmos. Bill will trigger them and Bill will stop the light thing, so you just worry about doing your thing.
All right, now just be careful with this wire here, kids. And let's get a little bit more light on the subject. There we go. I'm now going to turn everything on. Let's see what happens here. This is a live demonstration. This is not canned, so you never know what's going to happen. Everything's on.
They're all at attention.
They're all at attention. All right, and I'm going to start with Brooke. All right, Brooke, and I'll hold the microphone. And go ahead, tell us about your Gizmo.
My Gizmo was inspired by a recent trip to Hawaii. On our way, we picked up a dashboard dancing hula shark. The hula shark I wanted to make it dance with a Gizmo. So I used a servo motor to make it dance. In the background, there's music.
Yeah. Can I ask that there be no flash photography?
Sorry.
The flashes trigger the Gizmo.
Okay.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Go ahead.
There's music playing and streamers blowing behind it. My favorite part of the program was hacking into the flashlight. We stopped the connection between the batteries and the spring by putting in a nylon washer. After putting the cord in, we enabled it so that the gizmo could control the flashlight, sending a light beam to the next gizmo. I'd like to thank Skidompha for letting us use their area, their space here, and for letting us stay past closing time.
All right, I'm going to trigger Brookes Gizmo. You see the dancing shark? Okay. Quinn. Go ahead. Hold it right up to your mouth. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Quinn. I go to Nolan Gizmo school, and I'm 12 years old. And what my gizmo is based on is New York City. I've always really liked it because it's kind of been a favorite of mine. The hardest part of this was making the lights, which flash from blue to yellow. And we did that by using technical graphics of the circuit board, schematics, yes. And putting in LEDs, which are lights and so on. And I think that my favorite part of Gizmo Garden was probably figuring out how to wire in the circuit board, which is on my Gizmo. It was hard, but it was kind of like cool to know that you could wire in something that could actually control something that you could make on your own. And I think that the hardest part was probably the hardest part was probably soldering, and it was hard because, like, if you mess up, the whole thing could be wrong. So yeah, I learned that a lot of and so that's probably my favorite part. I'd like to thank Nick from Mediterranean Kitchen for delivering the food, because it must have been hard for like 10 kids. So yeah.
Thanks, Brenda. So that's Quinn's Gizmo.
My name is David Foley. I'm 11 years old. I'm in 6th grade, and I go to Wisconsin Middle School. My theme of my gizmo is, well, I found a disco party, a disco ball in the crafts area, and I thought it would be cool if I could make like a party theme. And so I took the disco ball and I thought it would be cool if I could spin it with something. And so thanks to Mark, he crafted this hole for the disco ball to get like carried on, and we put a little propeller on the bottom, and then the fan, when it spins, it will turn the disco ball. And then I also put a sound system in, and I picked a song that is one of my favorites, and it's a party theme song. I think one of the funnest things in Gizmo Garden was soldering, and I'd like to thank all of the people who helped out in the program, and happy that all the equipment gets to go home.
All right, thanks, Sadie. You may wonder about about this notebook that we have here. This is blocking the light from the disco ball, which kept triggering one of the other gizmos. Nothing that, here we go. Okay.
No,
Jack, go ahead.
not.
My Gizmo has an optic fiber light.
By the way, this is Jack Worley from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Turn the mic on.
Get it
Mic is not on.
Yeah, close to your mouth. Oh, real close.
The fan right there blows around the optic fiber light, which I hacked into taking off the bottom, and there's 2 prongs that stuck up, and I took a wire and I soldered them onto the prongs, and I took a transistor on the breadboard right here and made it so it would activate on 1 and 9, so it turned off and on. I also have a clock right there. Doesn't really work 100%. It was one of the most challenging light systems, and I wanted a challenge, so yeah. If I could thank someone, it'd be Bob, because he helped me a lot with the clock, and the other Bob from MIT.
All right, Jack, thank you. We're going to see, let this go. Next, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Quinn Strauss. I'm in 7th grade at GSB and I'm 12 years old. And my Gizmo is sort of an electrical circuitry theme. And this is supposed to be a lightning bolt, but I could only use 8 LEDs, so it doesn't show up that clearly. And my favorite part about building the Gizmo is using the breadboard. This is an example of a breadboard. And the breadboard has little wires underneath it that go vertically and horizontally. And you can stick the wires in the little holes, and then they'll connect to other wires and other things in the breadboard. The good thing about the breadboard is it's easy to use, and if you get something wrong, it's really easy to fix, unlike soldering. But the bad thing is it doesn't hold it in that well, and things keep on popping out. And breadboards are usually used for prototyping, and we usually have 2 breadboards, one here, and then our main breadboard is there. And I'd like to thank Ed, who came in from NASA. He's a rocket scientist, and he taught us some things about rocket science, and I'd also like to thank Ms. Chandler for helping me with the lights.
Moving to the back row.
My name is Heather Waldrick. I'm a 7th grader at Damariscotta Central School. I'm 12 years old. My Gizmo is based on the 60s group The Beatles because I was introduced at a young age and I've been a fan since. One of the things that we had to work on to get it to work properly was to tilt the fan at an accurate angle to spin the yellow flower. And an extra thing that I added by option was a second breadboard that flashes the word The Beatles. And it's arranged to flash 7 LEDs in a sequence, starting at 3 seconds and going through 9 seconds.
Okay. So let's trigger that. And the sound system was supposed to play a Beatles song, but we fried the sound card and had to replace it. And we didn't have time to re-record it, so what you have on there is the original sound from the factory, which is something in Japanese. And hold it real close to your mouth. It is on, just hold it real close to your mouth. It's on. Everybody turns it off. Go ahead.
My name is Nolan Michael. I just moved here from New Jersey and I go to Great Salt Bay. And I'm in 8th grade. And the theme I have in mind, well, it doesn't really have a theme. It's more purpose-based. So the original purpose of this was to cool my laptop when it's overclocking or like overheating. And basically it kind of morphed into what we're doing here with these gizmos. So it has in the back you can't really see it, but it has a temperature sensor and a heater, and then the front breadboard is a thermostat and thermometer, and basically what it does is it has a red light and a green light, and when the light is green it means that it's cool, and when it's red it means that it's really hot. It looks like it's really hot right now because the heater is on. And in the front there's also a servo motor which has a dial which helps to kind of show what temperature it is. But the fan is, we call it an AND circuit, so to be turned on it requires the red light on, which means that it is hot, which means that the temperature sensor is sensing that it's hot, and it also needs light to be triggered by the light sensor from someone else's light. So that was kind of complex to figure out how to make, but that's pretty much it. The thermostat, the difference between thermostat and thermometer is the thermometer measures how hot it is, and the thermostat is the one that actually deals with it and has the reaction switches on the fan. I like this because this invention could also be used like for pretty much anything else, like a stove, like something that could, if you left your stove on, you could easily like switch it off if it's sensed that like you weren't nearby by using a thermostat and a thermometer. That's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and I'd like to thank Mr. Silver, because he helped explain to me how to read the schematic to make the thermometer and thermostat breadboard, because we didn't have one of those like step-by-step pictures, so he kind of explained how to work it.
Trigger this. Now the fan turns on. Notice how it cooled down when the fan turned on? And now that it's cool, the fan turns off. And notice the thermometer is moved a little bit to the left, and then eventually the thermometer will heat back up again as the heater. Yeah, now it's gone. So that's the thermostat and the thermometer. Yeah, the red light is on. Brilliant.
I'm Rachel Schuster. The theme of my gizmo was Supernatural. It's my favorite TV show. You probably see one or maybe more recurring symbols on this, and that was actually probably the hardest thing that I had to work with when I was creating my gizmo. There was a circuit board kit that had a 5-pointed star in it, so I wanted to try and make the LEDs light up when my gizmo was light activated. So this required a lot of soldering, and it was something extra that I could do. So I decided to take some time, and I thought, well, why not? I'll try it. And so this actually required very close, tight-knit soldering. The holes that I had to solder the LEDs into were about 1/10 of an inch apart. And I managed to get it all done, and when I tried it, I found that one of the LEDs wasn't working because the solder had formed sort of a bridge, which is just when the solder crosses over and connects, meaning that the two individual holes that they are connecting aren't responding correctly. So I simply had to debug that, and when I tried again, I found that it worked. And that was probably one of the most challenging things that I had to do. But it was also one of my favorite things. If I could thank somebody, I would like to thank MIT for making this amazing program and just bringing it out here to a little town in Maine and teaching all of us how to do electrical engineering, and I think this is really fantastic.
Great. Abby, go ahead.
My name is Abby. I'm an 8th grade student at Damariscotta. My theme is birthdays, with my birthdays coming up. And I also have a lot of friends whose birthdays are on winters, so it's kind of like everybody's birthday. When I was little, I liked to watch my mom solder stained glass. So it looked really difficult, but it's a lot easier than I thought. The hardest part for me was finding a short enough piece of music to go with my Gizmo, because you can only have 6 seconds. I attached the balloon to my Gizmo with a servo motor, and I wanted it to go up and down instead of wiggling from side to side. So I had to drill a hole in the base and glue it down with eye hooks and just going through that and marking with that. So yeah. 2 people that I'd like to thank are Mrs. Silver, because even though she claims to not know a lot about technology and the solar system, she was a lot of help this week. And Shelley, thank you for taking time out of your vacation to come help us.
I think that's really cool. We're gonna, at the end, we're gonna have them all go crazy. Go ahead, Finn. What's the map?
Hi, my name is Finn Dorkin, and this is my Gizmo. The theme for my Gizmo was space, because an engineer who worked with NASA came in Wednesday, and he showed us what he did on his day-to-day basis. And I thought what he did, like working on space shuttles, was just so interesting. So I based my Gizmo after it. My favorite part is this space shuttle right here, which actually moves on this little motor called a servo. It's a motor, but unlike other motors that just spin continuously, it spins in any motion you set it to. So it spins like this. But before anything can work on your Gizmo, it has to be activated. So there are little photo light sensors that activate everything based on what change happens in the light, because it takes an average of the last 20 seconds, and then when it notices a change, it makes the Gizmo go. I'd like to thank all of the adults responsible for this great program and this amazing opportunity. Thank you.
Guys, you did a great job. The Skidompha Library has been enormously supportive of us in this effort, and one thing they did to support us is that they donated to us the time of their children's librarian for the entire week, and he's been enormously helpful. And now Mark Ferrer has something to say.
all for coming. I'm going to be brief because this is all about them. It is my real privilege every day to serve children from infants, really, to those in high school, as well as the adult patrons in their lives. And the application process has really brought us, I think, some really special kids. And I thought it would be nice to recognize some of the really standout work that I saw personally. I didn't get to work with everyone directly, but I got to work with most of them throughout the week. And I think, first off, our youngest Gizmo, who's just 11 years old, if you don't mind me saying that, Brooke really impressed me with her enthusiasm, with her dry wit, and with her perseverance, because I broke her shark. I came from Hawaii. So, Brooke, for you, I got you this shirt, and congratulations. Quinn Strauss here, my other person I'd like to recognize. Quinn has such a great, just sort of a can-do attitude. When asked to maybe add something to his gizmo, like this servo, he wasn't sure quite what he wanted to do, rather than say, oh, I don't know, or you think about it, he said, sure, let's try it. Maybe not those exact words. So Quinn, really dedicated to his work, worked on it at home, super excited, came in every day really excited to work on this, and obviously you were pretty inspired by the NASA engineer that came. So for you, the book Rocket Boys, which is a memoir of some real rocket scientists in this country.
Well, the question that we have gotten most often during this week is, what's next in STEM education? What's the next opportunity for my child to pursue this? And to talk about opportunities and how to connect with them, I'd like to introduce Lynn Farron of the Maine Math and Science Alliance.
I know who I need to turn to now if I need something soldered. My laptop cool. This is great. I'm so impressed with all of your work this week. You should be very proud. And so, what's next? That's a great question. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. First, I want to say STEM is here in Lincoln County, and we often don't think about STEM opportunities here because we don't have big, Boston Museum of Science or MITs in our backyard. And so I'm part of a really interesting project at the Maine Math and Science Alliance called the STEM Guides Project. And we're all about connecting kids to out-of-school opportunities to continue their interests in math, science, technology, and engineering. And we're starting our third focus area in Lincoln County. And it just so happened that this program was going on at the same time we're sort of starting up, so it made this nice marriage in a sense. So I brought with me a few things the kids could do after this project if you wanted. And I'll give you those to take with you. The other thing would be if there are families in the audience that would be interested in doing a baseline survey with us, we would love to have your information. I have a letter and a sign-up sheet for that as well. It's really important to have these experiences and then say, well, so what is next and how do I continue and foster that interest? And we're finding those resources here in Lincoln County and working on ways to make them richer. So thanks and congratulations.
By the way, Lynn is not only a terrific coordinator, but she's also one of the technology and science tribe. She's a biologist. We have another fabulous resource in Next Steps for your kids, and that's the Skidompha Library. And I'm going to introduce Pam Gormley, the Executive Director, to talk for a few.
Okay, I have props. One of the things I am most grateful for in this past week was the presence of this fire extinguisher. Something you may or may not have seen Bill have in his hand is a remote control with a kill switch, and I was thankful that that was here. STEM is natural in libraries. Science, technology, engineering, and math matters, whether we're rural or we're urban. You may know this about me, I'm from the Bronx, so I know about urban and I know about what's available in urban centers. but we were smart enough to move to Damariscotta. And I think that everything I could have imagined as a child is here right before us in Damariscotta. Skidompha is a logical place for science, I think. We started years ago and we became a cornerstone of science library, which is a designation given out by the state. We then started a program called Evil Geniuses, and that is very well attended and very popular. The other great part about Skidompha is where we are. Skidompha is in a community of people with incredible talents and generosity. Look at the Silvers. They came forward. You can only imagine how fast I said yes. They came and they offered this to our students in this community. Anyway, I thank you for that. I thank Lori Chandler, Mark Ferrero, Bob Congers, Shelley Z. They were the helpers all week long. And I'm going to do one more thing, if you don't mind. I'd like to introduce Karen Filler, who is the chairman of the board of Canopa Library. If you could join me over here, please. Don't touch the Gizmo.
Absolutely fantastic. Bill and Judy.
I'm seeing that wine.
We're just going to do flowers.
So we should get some for Bill. Well, you know, we mentioned generosity, and that's above and beyond. But I don't think anybody realizes how much time that both of you have spent on this. And from the bottom of our hearts, the board of directors, the library, the community, thank you. And this was fantastic. And they're going to Disney World after
We
this.
are.
So, a wonderful trip.
Okay. And people are also asking, what is Gizmo Garden going to do next? Well, first of all, we're going to Disney World. But after that, we're really not sure. We haven't thought that far. We've been thinking one day at a time. Part of what we do may depend on feedback from you guys. So we have 2 cards that were put at the seats. We have pens. If anybody needs one, would you guys walk around and see if anybody needs a pen? And the green card is just for feedback, suggestions. You can leave that in your seat when you go and we'll collect them. The yellow card is for if you're interested in volunteering to help with STEM programs. Bill is an electrical engineer, but we could have used another electrical engineer this week. We could really use a mechanical engineer. We could really use computer people. Whatever your technical talent is, if you'd be willing to volunteer it, please write that down. We also need non-technical help. If we did field trips, for example, we would need drivers. We had lunch every day this week. We could use people willing to bring lunch. If you're very good at administrative or organizing things, we could use that. So if you're willing to volunteer, please fill out the yellow card, and again, you can leave those in your seats. And we did not have as many cards as we have seats, so if you did not get a card and you'd like to contact us, our email is up there at the top. And there is a box on the yellow card if you are willing for us to share that information with the Maine Math and Science Alliance. Please check off that box and we will do that. And Bill has...
Yes. Well, I also have some thank yous that I need to say. And first I want to thank the 10 students who came to this program. You guys gave up your February vacation and worked from 9 to 5 every day. You were focused, you were serious, and what you've created is beyond my wildest imagination of what you could do. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank the community, Lincoln County community in which we live. Everyone was so supportive, and that was so important. First of all, the parents of these students who entrusted their kids to our care for the 40-hour week, I want to thank you for that. And I have a special shout out for the Noblesboro Central School and Principal Ann Hassett. She was amazing. The Noblesboro Central School was amazing in terms of allowing us to come in and talk to the kids. I want to thank MIT for allowing us to run with their program. That took a little bit of courage. They don't normally do that. And they had to have enough confidence in us that we wouldn't eventually screw up their good name. So I do want to say a word of thanks to MIT. And then I've got to thank the library. And you've heard some of this before. They gave us the building, staff time, equipment, anything we needed, the run of the place. They let us come in at weird hours and stay late. What an amazing organization, and in particular, I've got to thank Pam. Where is Pam? Pam, you know, she says how quickly she said yes, but I want you to understand what that involved, because what she did was she essentially handed the reputation of the library and herself to a bunch of crazy people who were going to run this program who had really never done it before, and the courage that that took was really remarkable. And so I just have to recognize Pam for that. Our assistants were amazing. First of all, Shelley is a junior at Lincoln Academy.
Shelley's hiding behind the pole.
I have never seen a work ethic and a desire to learn every single thing she could in the time that she was here. A couple days ago, she wanted to learn how to put together one of those hearts and star kits. There are a couple of them around. And so she said, "Can I take one and work on it?" And she grabbed one, and she read the instructions and taught herself how to build it. And then it turned out that 3 or 4 students also wanted to make one, so Shelley led those students in building those hearts and stars. Shelley, I'm so impressed. I want to thank Mark, our Chief Mechanical Officer. I'm the guy who knows where the wires go, but when it comes to screws and drills, I'm hopeless. But Mark, most of the mechanical stuff that you see here, Mark just figured out. He figured out how to make that ball spin. He figured out how to make that balloon go up and down. So, and he built all of the plywood bases that you see here in his garage. So, Mark, we really couldn't have done it without you. Lori, you know, we wanted Lori as a volunteer because of her expertise in working with children. She works at Great Salt Bay, and she works with children at the Second Congregational Church. But by the end of the week, Lori had learned enough circuit theory to be selecting resistor values to power strings of LEDs. And I'm serious. And I could just say, you know, Lori, this student here wants to turn on 3 LEDs. We've got 12 volts coming in. We need 10 milliamps of current flowing through them. You go figure out the resistor value. And I didn't even look over her shoulder. She did it. So you are now an electrical engineer. Come up here. Bob's a little bit of a similar story. Now, Bob is well accomplished in his own field, which has nothing to do with electronics or engineering. But he's an accomplished guy. He's a great mathematician and loves to work with kids. And by the end of the week, he was debugging digital logic with a meter and helping Jack. And I'm just so impressed with Bob, with what you've done with the kids. About a year ago, I was introduced to the Edgerton Center at MIT. I didn't know who they were. And it was kind of a chance meeting. I came home with a brochure. And they did K through 12 outreach. And I showed Judy the brochure. And she noticed that they run a lot of programs in big cities. Boston, San Francisco, and near Silicon Valley, New York. And she said, gee, why don't we bring a program like this to Lincoln County? And I said, how could we possibly do that? And she said, let me think about it. And then she said to me, she thought about it, and said, look, we need three things. First, we need an organization in the community that can host the event, that has the resources, that has the network, that has the ability to do this. She says, we need Pam Gorman. Second thing she said was, we got to convince MIT to let us do it. So we have got to understand what we need from them, what we can offer them in return, what their concerns might be. And so she directed what ended up being a 3 or 4 week negotiation. This was serious. With MIT, back and forth, documents, to make sure that we had from them what we needed and that they felt like they might be getting something in return. And then the third thing she said we needed was students. And if you want students, first of all, you need to have an application process, and she created that. But most of all, you need publicity. So we need to go into the schools. We need to build some prototype gizmos and go into the schools. We need to contact teachers and principals. And we need to show the students what might be going on. Second of all, we need newspaper articles. We need to be in the Lincoln County News. And so she wrote most of the articles that have appeared in the Lincoln County News and took all the pictures. All that's Judy's work. And then she said we need a Facebook presence. All of the Facebook content is Judy's work. Judy's a master of the vision and strategy. You know, I'm the technical guy. I know where the wires go. What I do is very visible. Okay? But as anyone who's been in business knows, management is harder than technology. Okay? Judy this is her vision and her strategy, and really it has been an honor to work with you on this.
Certificates acknowledging completion of this program, and to help us pass those out, we have a very special guest. We have State Senator Chris Johnson with us. You may know Chris as a senator, and I put his website on your handout. If you'd like to know more about his work as a senator, you can look there. But I'm going to tell you something you may not know, that he is also a member of the technology tribe. He has a degree in physics, and he works in information technology at a company in Portland. So he's one of the team, and we really appreciate you being here today. Let's stand over in the corner here, and kids, when your name is called, please come up and get your certificate.
All right. Finn Dworkin. Aiden Foley. Quinn Hunnell. Nolan Michael. Brooke Braithman. Abby Roberts. Rachel Schuster. Quinn Strauss. Bradford. And Jack Worley.
Okay, and now we are ready for the grand finale, which is the Gizmos playing the game all together. And I would ask that you hold your applause until it's been all the way around the loop once. And then after that, you're welcome to come up and get a closer look at the Gizmos for as long as they last.
Hold your applause, but don't hold your prayers.
Bill. Bill, can you get a picture of that? No. That one's sensitive.
Photos of the Gizmos, so please give her a minute to do that.
You can put the kids up there if you want.
Kids, why don't you stand behind your Gizmos?
Absolutely.
And the flash is triggering multiple Gizmos, so it's multi-ball now.
There you go. Yep. The girl in the back needs to move to the left. Heaven. There we go. Now I can see you. I just want everybody's face. Parents can get pictures too. Lots of flashes would make this even more fun. Okay, I'm good.
And please, those of you who took photographs, if you would put them on our Facebook page, I would love to see them.